Hello everybody, this is TipTopMTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 most expensive mystical archive cards in Strixhaven. So for those of you who don't know, these are kind of like the return of masterpieces, where they are non-standard legal cards in an alternate frame with alternate art that are in the pack as a bonus. Except this time, every single pack has one. They can also be found in set boosters, draft boosters, collector boosters. They can be found in a lot of different places. And with that, there are over 60 of them. And so I really didn't feel like I could really sit down in a video and talk about each one individually. So I decided to talk about the top 10 most expensive. However, a lot of them are coming to Historic as well, and I don't want to leave Historic players, without a video talking about mystical archives for them. So stay tuned for a video where I talk about the most impactful cards to Historic, in my opinion, but that's not going to be this one. Alright, let's jump into this. Starting off, we have Counterspell. Now, there's a lot of stuff happening on your screen, and let me quickly explain what all of it is. In the upper left, you can see what ranking it has. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. This is the 10th card. You can see the card front and center. Underneath it is the price. On the right is the Japanese alternate version, which is only available in Japanese. It can be found in any language collector boosters or in Japanese boosters. And in the bottom left, you can see the last time the card was reprinted. So, for instance, Counterspell is going for $10 right now, and it was last reprinted in Commander Legends. And interestingly, the Japanese alternate art is about the same as, not about the same, it's exactly the same. A couple things about the price. First off, this is filmed before Strixhaven's even been released, meaning take this with a grain of salt. By the time this comes out, the price could go up, it could go down. It'll probably go down. Another thing to note is that since these are kind of cosmetic cards, prices will change variably. And another thing is these are Card Kingdom's prices, meaning they are probably slightly higher than you will find them on something like eBay. So keep that in mind. You will be able to get these cards for cheaper. I just use Card Kingdom across all of my videos to keep them consistent. And it's in USD. Okay, that should be everything. Either way, I'm not really going to necessarily talk too much about Counterspell. It's a pretty simple spell, blue, instant counter target spell. It is used in a lot of older formats. It has a lot of alternate arts, full arts, lots of things like that. But this is another one, and I honestly think it looks really, really awesome. It's not necessarily as blue as a lot of Counterspells are, but I think it works really well with the border. And it's a card that sees play. Just note, this is not going into Historic for you Historic fans. Next, we have Brainstorm. It's a 1-cost blue instant. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. It was last reprinted in the list, and it's going for $10, both the normal and the Japanese art one. This actually is legal in Historic, and is a card that sees play in a lot of formats, especially something like Commander, and older formats where fetch lands are a thing, because you can draw 3 cards, put 2 on top, crack a fetch land that shuffles those 2 cards into your library, and it essentially lets you pay 1 mana to kind of shuffle your hand around a ton. I'm not a huge fan of the Japanese art here, but I like the normal art a lot. Of course, art is subjective, so you might like the Japanese art way more, and that is completely fine, but it makes sense that this is so high. We just saw Brainstorm in the old, sorry, not Brainstorm, we saw, Ponder in the old frame from Time Spiral Remastered, and that was one of the most expensive cards in the set, even though it is a simple effect similar to Brainstorm, and that's why a card like this, which is normally a common or even uncommon, that come up here as one of the top contenders. Next, we have Dark Ritual, also going for $10. I promise they're not all $10. It's a 1-cost black instant, and it adds black. It was last reprinted in Mystery Booster. I actually personally love the artwork for both of them. I'm more partial to the non-Japanese version, but I do like the frame of the Japanese version. Something about the horizontal, the verticalness of the naming, I like that. But yeah, a pretty awesome card. This one's not going to be in Historic, and you'll notice that's a theme. And the cards that are not in Historic are probably, there's 7 of them, they are the 7 most powerful cards in the thing. And so it makes a lot of sense that those are going to make up a lot of this, because oftentimes, the most played cards are the most powerful ones, and the most expensive cards are the most played ones. Therefore, the most expensive cards are the most powerful ones, and this can do a lot. Next, we have Crux of Fate. It is a 5-cost black sorcery. Now, this one's a little bit interesting. So, it's going for $10, but its Japanese art is going for $15. Now, I do want to mention something. There is a big deal kind of happening with Crux of Fate right now, where the art was actually stolen allegedly. Jason Felix allegedly took art from DeviantArt artist, and he used it as part of this. And so, essentially, we don't know what they're necessarily going to do. They announced that they were going to suspend working with Jason Felix until they can resolve the issue, but I could also see them, if they find something out, maybe not printing this card in future versions of it. We saw this with Space Godzilla Death Corona. They like changed the name of it because of the coronavirus. And so they may end up doing something like that. I find it unlikely, but keep that in mind that this might end up being a more rare printing. I don't see that necessarily happening, but it is something to keep in mind that this art does have some controversy going around it. And yeah. Next, we have Lightning Bolt, also a $10 card, but again, the Japanese art is more expensive. I think part of that is because it is so good compared, like, a lot of the times on the other one, it was like a toss-up. For slots like 10 through 7 there, I could have said, oh, I like either one of the arts. This one, I would say I definitely prefer the Japanese style. I think it looks really, really awesome. But I think both of them look awesome. I'm not trying to discredit the normal one either. It was less reprinted on the list. It's a 1-cost instant. It deals 3 damage to any target. It's not going to be legal and historic. And again, it's another 1-cost spell that's just really powerful. It sees a lot of play, it defines the formats it's in, and it has tons, and I mean tons of alternate, arts. I would say if it didn't have as many, it would be a higher priced card, but I think the fact that there are so many different things you can go for when you go for Lightning Bolt, it does somewhat decrease the value of this. I mean, we got a secret layer, I think, with just like 4 different versions of Lightning Bolt in it, and so there are lots of crazy arts and stuff for this, so it doesn't necessarily strike me as interesting because it's not one of those cards that hasn't seen a ton of cool printings of it. But then again, they often do cool printings of the cards that see play, and so they keep doing that. That means the most expensive cards are going to be the ones that keep getting all the cool printings, so there is some correlation there. Alright, now we move up. We go from $10 to $20 with Natural Order, also not in Historic. It's a 4-cost green sorcery, and it says, as an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a green creature. Search your library for a green creature card and put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. Alright, so it's going for $20 in its normal form and $30 for the Japanese alternate art, and it was last reprinted in Eternal Masters. This card's pretty crazy, and it is a mythic, meaning it will be more rare within the packs than the rares will be. So keep that in mind, you will end up with less of these. I think the art is pretty awesome, and it is a very powerful card. It is not legal in as many formats as some of the other ones, but in something like Commander, this can be a real powerhouse, I believe. I don't believe this is banned in Commander, but yeah, pretty powerful card, pretty expensive one too. Next, we have a Time Warp. Alright, this is being added to Historic. It is a 5-cost blue sorcery. Target player takes an extra turn after this one, and it's going for $20. I honestly would not be surprised if a big reason for this is the art. Honestly, I think this is my favorite art from all of the ones, and it's part of the reason it's the thumbnail for this video. I really love the way the art looks. It's going for $20. It's a powerful spell. The alternate art actually kind of follows a similar, person in the middle with their hands doing a little circle thing, but I also think the alternate art looks really, really good too, and so do other people, because this is one of the biggest jumps. We go from $20 for the normal one and $50 for the Japanese alternate art. Now, let me mention something. I'm listing out these $20 cards. These are a bonus in normal packs. This is not just a collector booster thing. You could be opening your $4 pack and get, a mythic in this slot, a mythic in the normal mythic slot, or not the mythic slot, the normal rare slot, and you could get a pretty valuable pack. But just keep that in mind. This is probably propping up a lot of the value of Strixhaven. Next, we have Teferi's Protection. It's a 3-cost white instant. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything, and all permanents you control phase out, and then exile Teferi's Protection. Alright, first off, both of them have really interesting art. I prefer the normal one, and there isn't as big of a gap between the normal one and the Japanese art in price. However, it was last reprinted in Secret Layer. It's a very, very powerful card that sees a lot of play in Commander. It's one of those white cards that is known for being incredibly powerful. That mixed with the fact that it has good art, it's a mythic, it is one of the most played white cards. It is just a really awesome reprint to see, and I'm really excited about that. Next, we have Demonic Tutor, one of the first ones spoiled. It is a 2-cost black sorcery. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle. Not going to be in Historic. I think both arts are interesting. The second one is definitely one of the least magic-y looking magic cards we've had, as these mystical Archives, but I definitely like it. It is interesting in that way. It is $60 for the main one and $80 for the alternate art. By the way, these are not foil prices. So again, you could open a $60 card in addition to your rare and mythic in a standard pack. That's why I expect these prices to fall. So I would not recommend pre-ordering them because Strixhaven is an unlimited print run set. As long as there are people buying it, they will keep printing it, which means people will buy it until it's not worth more than a box is, which means the price of these are all most likely going to go down. And last, we have Tainted Pact. It's a 2-cost black instant. Exile the top card of your library. You may put that card into your hand unless it has the same name as another card exiled this way. Repeat this process until you put a card into your hand, or you exile two cards with the same name. Sorry about that. Whichever comes first. And then it has the Japanese art, which I'm actually not a huge fan of, but I like the normal one. This is a $70 card that was only ever printed in Odyssey. It's going for $100 in the Japanese alternate art, and it is a huge combo piece. I mean, it alone in like Commander can just instantly mill you for 2 mana. That's why it sees a lot of play, is because of the combo potential of it, and it's a card that hasn't seen a reprint, so it kind of checks all the boxes. It sees play, it's powerful, it hasn't been reprinted and is in need of a reprint, and it's still going for $70. Also, because it's never been reprinted, it means it's never been reprinted in an alternate frame, meaning that if you want this card and you want it in an alternate frame, this is your only choice, which means the price will be slightly higher than a card where, you know, maybe I can't get the Mystical Archive version, but I can get the Secret Lair alternate art, alternate frame version. So keep that in mind. Alright guys, so that is it for this video. Again, I'm not really covering the viability of cards and things going into Historic, and I'm not talking about all of them, but I am talking about the most expensive ones, so you know what to look out for when you're opening your packs. If there is substantial change in the prices between now and like when they actually start coming out, I'll make another video talking about that, and that'll be kind of interesting to analyze. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date with everything Magic the Gathering. I'm going to be doing a spoiler video later today. There was some MTG Arena news today, but it isn't enough to make a video, so I'm just going to make a community post that you've probably already seen, or if you haven't, check that out. It's basically just some FAQs about Strixhaven Mystical Archives. Either way, guys, see you in the next one. Bye.